not just monetarily, but socially. Being a person that other people wanted to be around and buy into. So I'm inviting you all to, like, honestly make me profitable in a money era. Like, a lot of people respect me and a lot of people love me, but unfortunately they don't keep food on my table.
Yeah,
So I called in a good friend, Mr. Rodney Burris, who is one, like, literally the best man on earth. You get what I'm saying? I say that because he is successful in his own right. He knows about politics, he knows about money, he knows about being a husband, being a father. He knows so much. He's the author 4 times. So again, people are buying his insight, and I'm just fortunate to have him on the line with us. I have a few questions for him.
absolutely. Hello,
So
everybody. Thank you for having me, Jaquetta.
you're super welcome. You're super welcome. Thank you. So I can give you all some history on Rodney and I, actually.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
feel
All
free.
right, so Rodney was my supervisor a few years ago.
Yes.
Believe it or not, we were working in West Baltimore City, and we were doing an after-school program. And he was an interim supervisor, which means I had one and one left, so he came in.
Yeah.
Now, when you see somebody who's obviously loudmouth like me, think I know it all, when a new boss comes in, it's always like a side eye. But for his energy and his vision for the school and for our children, I had no side eye. I, like, immediately fell into line. He taught me the power of delegation.
That's
and
right.
He helped me out. For real.
Delegation.
For real. So I respect him, and that's why I'm asking him for his help. So Rodney, my first question for you would be, when I'm introducing myself into the community as a businesswoman, how do I obviously not turn people off by saying, look, I know how to do hair, but this is the dollar for it. And I want you to respect me not only as a smiling face, but as a businesswoman. How do I create that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
And I think that you already hit on something that is a starting point that I would like to share to your other folks, everybody listening, which is this. It's really important to find your sweet spot, right? Find what you're doing. So with you and my Love Braids, you've tapped into that. You have a natural desire to help people. It's part of the reason why you and I met at a school, right? Because you were trying to help and to give back. There's 1,000 ways to make money. You can make money being a dentist. Believe it or not, Department of Public Waste, garbage men, trash workers make a lot of money. They have great benefits. There's 1,000 ways to make money, right? Some legal, some not so legal. So one, you got to figure out where that vein is for you. Like, what do you want to do? How do you want to give? And one of I don't care if you're an engineer, I don't care if you're an artist, I don't care if you work with kids, I don't care if you healthcare, if you drive trucks, if you make tacos, whatever it is that you do, you want to always frame it in a way of how do I give it, right? Instead of how do I make $1. That's not even just to you. I'm saying it to like everybody. Like, if you can figure out, because money and profit is like seeds, right? So if you think about food and seeds and that sort of stuff, you'll get some food by keeping it in the house. You'll make more by planting it in the ground. The tough thing about it is that it don't plant and come up tomorrow, right? It takes some watering, it takes some pulling the weeds out, it takes some turning that ground up, over churning it, all of that kind of stuff. But you want to plant what you're gifted in, what you're good at doing, into other folks. So again, it doesn't really matter if it's being a cook or working with old folks or working with young folk, or I don't like, you could be great at fixing TVs. You could understand how to, it doesn't matter what it is. You want to always look and see, how do I position this to kind of help people to, that's the first thing. That's like one of the biggest rules to wealth. And it's unspoken because we look at wealth and riches and making money and stuff like that as like accruing dollars. And that, like, looking at it like that is kind of like, there's a commercial by Michael Jordan that came out years ago, so you may have heard of it. It's on YouTube, y'all. If y'all want to YouTube it, you just look up something called "Maybe It's My Fault," and Michael Jordan is talking, and it's showing,
you love
like,
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I love Mike. I love Mike. It's showing his highlights. It's showing him shooting. It's showing him getting a winning, the at the buzzer and all that kind of stuff. But he's voicing over it, and he was like, "Maybe it's my fault that I told you that my highlights started at the free throw line, right? Everybody know the Jordan logo on them shoes. And that's when he won a slam dunk contest from dunking at the free throw line. And they turned that into a logo from him stretching out like that. He was like,
Wow.
my highlights started at the free throw line. My highlights started, in the Olympic Games. Maybe it's my fault instead of letting you see that it was something that I worked at every single day of my life. Maybe it's my fault that I made it seem like it was just a God-given gift. Maybe I didn't let you guys see the diligence and the practice and the sweat and the number of shots I missed. Maybe I messed up the game. And all of that is just clips, right? And showing his trophies and his nice room and pictures of him little playing basketball and all that stuff. And then it goes to him standing in the gym and him actually saying that in real time to a line full of dudes. And he looks at them and he says, or maybe you're just making excuses. And he blew the whistle and they took off, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of times we look at money as the highlight reel. We look at money as the free throw line. And we don't. I saw a video of Steph Curry, just to keep this in basketball, I guess, real quick. I know you. I'm assuming that a lot of your folks, Jaquetta, are ladies that listen to this, but everybody know the name of Steph Curry, and
May I say something really quick?
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, I have way more male followers.
Oh,
and I have
snap!
Way more male customers. So many fathers reach out to get their daughter's hair done. I even had a couple of guys in my DM trying to get their ladies' hair done.
Can you do mine?
So we've been there. We've been there. Nobody told you cut it off.
I'd have had some hair by now. I couldn't take it. Hey, y'all, I sat in the chair. She's good at, I don't know how she snatched up my little inch of hair. She snatched it back and threw it. She's good at what, you're good at what you do. I couldn't take it, y'all.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I couldn't take it.
But bring it back to basketball.
So Steph Curry, he was in the gym the other day and he shot 100 3-pointers in practice, right? So it's a YouTube clip. He made 92 of them, including 77 straight. Now, was that the first day that he ever shot 100 3-pointers in practice? Heck no, right? You don't get to the point where you make the type of 3-pointer highlights that Steph Curry does, which has made him popular and famous by people that don't even watch basketball, without that diligence, without that work. So, making money, right? Being wealthy, being successful, the gym, that behind the scene works is figuring out whatever it is that I'm good at doing, whatever it is that I like to do. How do I consistently put this into people? What's that practice? What's that effort? So that by the time it's time to shine and get dollars in, I have something in the bank. So people want to pay you. I've paid you for my kid,
awesomely,
right?
Too. Very sweet. Thanks.
I paid you for my kid. But it's absolutely because I have seen her heart, y'all. I've seen what she desires to do for people. And that has been really, really impactful for me. So, one is starting there, right? All that to say, by the time you walk into a place and you're ready to name your price, one of the first things you do is you go in and you figure out, how can I help you? Right? So if I go to, so I'm gonna be you for a second. My name is JQ. I call her JQ, y'all. That's not what her mama called her, but I'm JQ. I'm walking into, I don't know. You want to work with old folks? Did you mention something about that?
You know I did.
Okay, so I walk into an old folks home. Everybody need their hair done, right? All these ladies, they 70 years old. They tired of them old men flirting with them. They want to get their hair done right. So I go in there. If I go in there and say, hey, I charge $100 an hour, or whatever it is. I don't know what the heck is reasonable. I'm just gonna say $100 an hour. I charge $100 an hour. I can come in here 3 hours a week, or 3 hours a day, or whatever it is, and I can do everybody hair in that time slot that can fit, and we can do it. They need something to do anyway. What you got? Don't nobody got no budget for that. Ain't nobody playing for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Right?
No value.
There's no value, right? Because I'm going in with the gimmies. I'm going in to take. So instead, I go in there, right? And you come bearing gifts, right? You come in with a couple of donuts, a box of chicken, little cheese tray. It doesn't matter what it is. You come in with little trinkets for them. I just want to drop this off. You build rapport, whatever that looks like. The goal is to build rapport, right?
Yeah.
But you immediately, it's not like it takes you 10 years to do this. It don't take 3 months or 3 weeks. You come in there, it's like, hey, I'm such and such with this, and I just want to know this is what I do. I want to know how we can help. And if you come in listening and trying to solve a person's problem and figure out whatever their issue is. So their issue might be they ran out of something for them to do on Tuesdays. Their issue may be that the family don't come see them. Their issue may be that they're running out of funding from the state. Their issue, it doesn't matter what their issue is. Your job is to figure out how do you naturally marry the two. So you can't become funding from the state of Maryland or whatever state, everybody's listening. You can't become funding for them. You can't force their auntie, their nephew, their cousins, their grandbabies to come visit them. You can't force them to automatically have programming on Tuesdays. But you can take My Love Braids and figure out, okay, well, if the family don't come, what if me and my folks came in? Oh, if that's the issue, what if this thing? If this the issue, and you talk about that, and you let the value, and let me see myself already collabing with you. Let me see that my people like you already. Let me see that Miss Ethel May and Miss Mary, who normally don't even talk to each other, are not only talking to you, they talking to each other while they talk to you. Like, let me see that you helping improve the quality of my life, and we can talk dollars. We can talk dollars. I'm gonna pause right there and let you jump in.
I'm a big note taker.
Yes.
I'm a big note taker, and this is not for y'all on the screen. If we can just be transparent. We had this conversation a few days ago, and I was taking notes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love for my viewers to see how you pour into me and how we pour into each other, honestly.
Absolutely.
So if y'all watching this, y'all might want to jot down some notes too, because what I do believe is there are two different type of people, right? You can be great and awesome, and you can make a lot of money. You get what I'm saying? But you don't have any substance.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have anything. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you got all the money, but you get what I'm saying? Like, you're unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And again, I just can't stress enough, like, why I value you, because he told me something years ago, and this is how he raised his family. And he said, I need my children to be able to walk in any hood and walk to the White House and sit. You get what I'm saying? So being able to code switch, being able to do all of the above, it takes a lot of due diligence, work, sweat, education, everything that you just touched on. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes.
And I want to piggyback off of something that you just said.
Yes.
When building this rapport, right? Because I feel like I get that well.
Yes.
I build rapport. People love me all the time. But I would say I'm struggling with accommodating people when it comes to finances. So it's like, I don't know, if I could just be transparent.
Yeah.
I always say a finesse is going to tell you what they want you to hear in order to finesse you.
Right.
Because I lead with my heart and I'm leading with the sense of helping.
Yeah.
How is it that I make sure I'm scratching my own back and not being finessed? Because I feel like it's very seldom that I really run into people that overpay me.
Yeah.
People that tip. You get what I'm saying? Everybody is trying to clinch to $1.
Yeah.
So it's like, I tell people all the time, the braid is going to speak for itself. So I'm not really worried about if my braid is worth your money, because I know for a fact my braid is.
Nice.
And excuse me if I'm getting a little cocky with it, because I just know
that.
my braid is that.
I love that.
It's more so the time.
Yeah.
It's more so the experience. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I go above and beyond to make sure people are cared for, loved. It's called My Love Braids for a reason. I need you to leave this environment feeling a sense of self-love for yourself and an additional boost of love that you can share with other people.
Yeah.
That takes time. That takes money.
That does.
That takes a lot. And trying to find a dollar amount to put on that and to not negotiate. Because when I look at it, like, I have a real Louis Vuitton bag, and that mother sucker cost me $14.36. You get what I'm saying? Woo. Exactly. And if I could just be transparent, somebody stole it. A friend of mine stole it.
A friend.
So it was like, damn, that $1,400 is gone. You get what I'm saying? And Louis Vuitton, he didn't negotiate that price. It's either you're going to get this bag, sis, or you're not.
Yeah.
But when you are early in your business, You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't like turning down money. So it has been times when are you sure? I got you. You get what I'm saying? Just because I look at it like I know at least 100 people is going to see that hairstyle.
Yeah.
So how do I balance that out?
That's a great
If
question.
That was a clear question.
That was a clear question. So it reminds me of a formula, right? So remember back when we was in school, you would have 3x plus 2y plus b equals some number, right? All them letters in there. And each one of those letters could equal a different number. And it would change the formula. Like it would, depending on what those letters, they would call them variables, right? And so depending on what the variable is. So there needs to be a part of our formulas when we're trying to help people that is my price is my price is my price is my price. I had a school here in Baltimore. I actually had a school in Baltimore that um, my kid was there. I had a kid there. I got 5 kids. I got 5 kids, right? So one of my children was there. My children left that school, and I had been doing work for them on a low, just cause, right? Well, the next year they was like, "Can we get you to come back?" And I gave them an invoice, and I was like, "This is what it looks like to work with me." They stopped talking to me. They
Yo, go ahead.
They didn't respond, right? The truth of the matter is that I'd have been willing to negotiate, but see, sometimes what we get uncomfortable with is, like you said, we get uncomfortable with the price being a price being a price, and you're gonna get it or not, sis. Although I was willing to negotiate that, and that's another part of the formula. I'm gonna get to that in a second. We have to know what our value is, and that takes homework, right? That takes and it needs to be realistic. Like it can't be a bajillion dollars because I done seen, you know, Shorty. I don't know if you remember this. Back in the day, Steve Harvey had a lot of hair, right? Steve Harvey is bald and clean as I don't know what these days. Steve Harvey had like a low cut tempered taper afro joint, and he got his hair cut, I swear to you, like 3 or 4 times a week. That thing was always just pristine. He had a couple TV shows. It was always just right. And so his barber was making like 6 figures. Like not like 100,000, like 3, 4, like good money, because he was flying around with him. He was cutting it in between scenes and shows and takes, and it was a ridiculous amount of money, right? Steve Harvey cut his hair off, but the barber had built up so much money that he was able to do a lot more with that seed. Well, we could look at that barber and be like, well, Steve Harvey barber made $330,000 a year for cutting hair. Like that's my price. But a part of that formula is gaining a client that can afford that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So here's part of what we do. Part of what we do is we have such beautiful big hearts. Our hearts are so big that we go to people that don't got no money because we want to help.
Dang.
So because we want to help, but they ain't got no money.
Can you see this?
What you just? I can't see what it say.
It's a community and marketplace.
That's right.
Because that was my next question. But go ahead.
So if I'm based on my community, based on my marketplace, where am I doing my business? Where am I doing if my entire network are folks that are nickeling and diming and don't have it and have that mentality, I'm going to get more of the same. And there's nothing wrong with working with those folks and sewing into them and trying to bring us up. But just realize if that's the yard I'm playing with, that's the toys I got to play with. That's the access to the resources that they're going to have. So positioning myself to be around different types of that's more of that homework, right? So 1, knowing my price. 2, knowing the different types of customers that I'm going to have and realizing what they can or can't do. And then 3, when am I willing to stick to it? When am I willing to negotiate? And when am I willing to do pro bono? Because it's a beautiful thing to still give, right? And it's a beautiful thing to stick to it and get that price. And it's a beautiful thing to be like, okay, you can't do this, but we can do this. And so what does that mean? For people like us, Jaquetta, if I'm going to do a service for whoever this person, entity, organization is, and they can't pay me top price, my price for all of these services, the result is not me doing all of those services at a much lesser rate. That's not negotiation. There's a Latin phrase called quid pro quo. It means this for that. So you only got $700 total. You only got $200. You only got a $1,500, whatever it is. Well, that's great. That means I'm going to be able to do this amount of my service provision. I can do this amount. So what we do is, oh, you don't got a lot of money? I'll still bleed to death and do this whole thing for you and come there for you 3-4 days a week, all night, tomorrow, take you home afterwards. And that's poor business. And so what happens is, can I take it to relationships?
Yeah.
So what happens is this. We teach this dude how to treat us. We teach this dude that, oh, it's that easy. And it may not even be on a rude tip. It may just be, I respect you as much as you teach me to respect you. And for me, it's a lot because I'm giving you as much as respect as you want. Are we willing to walk away from contracts? Are we willing to circle back around? You know, those things are very important. So again, the three things of the formula, right? Just to make it real simple. Knowing my price, but that comes with homework, right? That comes with really getting a real price. 2, who are the people that I'm working with? What real budget in dollars do they actually have, right? And if I want their budget in dollars to look different, I have to expand my network outside of my yard, my normal place. And then 3, when am I willing to stick to my price, to negotiate, or to do pro bono? And the reason why I say it's a formula and I use letters, because for this client over here, I might be willing to do this. And for y'all over there, I might be willing to do this. And I get to make that assumption. My price is still my prices. Everybody know that it costs me XYZ to come in. But for you, for this relationship, it could look like this. And that has been my experience of gaining my network of people bringing me in. Yeah, that's as simple as I can put it. I must admit it is a lot of jump shots in the gym though. It's not just...
No.
Yeah.
If I can, everything that you're saying is so true because I have lived out some of these experiences.
Oh yeah?
You know, I had somebody from my past. We have a really good relationship friend-wise. And she was coming up off of hard times. So when she came up off a hard time, she relocated to Maryland. I won pro bono her hair. Okay. That was something that I felt like I could charge to the relationship. Then when she cycled back around, it was like trying to pity pinch. You get what I'm saying? Like, how can I maximize my dollar for your service? So I was like, you know, well, for the style that you want, I cannot do it for that price. But for what you have to offer me, I can do this. It was like, okay.
How did she take that?
That was left on the table.
Oh, she didn't want it?
That was left on the table.
Okay.
She didn't want that. But what I will say is she circled back around 2 weeks later and got market price for a style, if that makes sense. And I feel like it was because I didn't budge.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like I budged a little bit, but I didn't fold. The
nice.
first time I completely fell. Go ahead. And then after that, it's just crazy how numbers work. Because right after that, she referred 3 people to me in the same week.
Wow. So what that shows is...
But
yeah,
all 3 that came in the same week came with bullshit. They all came with, excuse my language.
Yeah.
They came with trying to nickel and dime. They came in, you know, and it's like, yo, if you're going to bring me some half-ass customers, I really don't want them.
I don't want these
but
customers.
If you're going to bring me some good paying customers, then I'm with that. So
one of the things that I was,
you know, like I felt like, go ahead.
I thought you froze for a second. No, I was about to say something else about opening our network, but keep going.
Yeah, so after that, like it just, and it's crazy because we had the conversation about it yesterday, and I just let her know, like, you know, on a friend, you know, and then on business, like I was like, on a friend, I definitely appreciate the support and everything like that, but you put me in a very awkward place because
did she even realize that?
Right, no, and that's what I was saying. See, the finesse is going to tell you what they want you to know in order to finesse you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I'm your friend, but they're your family.
Right.
Like,
right.
She shared blood with them. So it was like, yeah, my homegirl know how to bring her ass off, but how can I get all us in for low? That's how I felt like I got finessed. And it wasn't okay feeling. She apologized yesterday when we talked about it. And I just told her,
Oh, this recently just happened.
No, yeah, recently.
Woo.
Recently. And I find myself into a pit because I say to myself, I'm everybody. You know, I'm the person who's piquing interest. I'm the person who's securing the appointment. I'm the person who's handling deposits. I'm the person who's doing the braids. I'm the person who's doing a follow-up for your braids. I'm all the people. So I'm wondering, before I can get to the level of duplicating myself,
right?
How is it that I can maximize my compartmentalizing of myself?
Yeah.
So that when it goes to be delegation and duplicating, it's very simple.
Right. No, I think that's a good point. I'm glad that you was able to stick to your price. And so, like, how do we get away from clients that only want to pay a certain amount, right? One of the things that you have done real well, and I often talk about your experience with ACN, is I have seen pictures, videos, different things of you. We talked about that code switching the other day, being able to go from the hood to the White House and back easily.
Come on,
and back easily. And so one of the things that you do very, very well is you have a way of tapping into a professional demeanor that complements very well your laid back, just being around the way. And so it takes us as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people that's trying to expand our brand. You know who people like? Everybody. I can tell you everybody likes a particular person. And that's themselves.
I was about to say themselves, bro.
Everybody likes themselves. So the key to this is something that I think you already do well, and it's really just honing it like a skill, is giving people then themselves to pay and making it an opportunity for me. So when a person feels like I'm gonna take this back to relationships, so this is gonna sound a little crazy, right? So one of the things that dudes are about to be the analogy for the entrepreneur trying to go in and make the money, right? So dudes, one of the things that dudes fall into a trap with is they go in and try real hard to sell themselves to a chick with their game, with what they say, with what they can buy, with the money, whatever it is, right? Their whole style, their whole approach. Well, that works and it doesn't work. It's like, that's like making money and not making. They write the check one time, do they write it? You know what I mean? It's like, how do we get sustainable? When you can get that client, get her to feel like me being with you is a gift to myself, you got sustainable money. So when you present yourself in a way that it looks like a reflection of me, I am getting something out of this as the organization, as a client, as the young lady in the story. All of a sudden, you're playing a different game. And so instead of going in there and being different from them, you want to be a little bit different because difference adds the value. If you're exactly the same as me, I already got whatever you are, whatever. So you want to be different enough that you're adding value, but you want to be the same enough that it feels like I'm just exchanging something of value with myself. Me doing this for you is bringing me up in my own esteem. And that takes knowing, one, who I am, myself, and then two, understanding who am I trying to get with? Who's my client? Who's my target? Who's this person? And so as I go in there, so I bring up ACN and the professional and all that kind of stuff because you got to be able to code switch for that new client, that new marketplace, that new community. And so sometimes I post my videos here, and sometimes I post my videos there, and sometimes I make phone calls, and sometimes I go in person. And sometimes I go in person and I got on Timbs and jeans and whatever. And sometimes you'll never know that I got tattoos, right? Depending on where I'm at, because I'm trying my best to make sure that I reflect to whomever it is. I'm you me. However I gotta say that. However, if I gotta use big words, if I gotta quote Pac, if I gotta talk about the time that me and homeboy was like, it doesn't matter what it is. If I gotta use basketball, if I gotta whatever it is, I'm me, you, me, I'm you, all that kind of stuff. To the point where you see my value and you paying me is something that you want to do for yourself. That is how you do it. But if I don't spend time practicing the mentality of that and knowing my price and realizing the mark, I'm glad that you wrote marketplace on there, and I'm glad that you wrote community on there, because it's really being aware of that. Sometimes we want big dollars from broke behind minded people.
Yeah. That's it, because, and I don't know, but I'm trying to get into a system of recycling the money.
What you mean by that?
You know, and I'm gonna drop this, and I'm gonna pick it right back up real quick.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I'm ready for the world to understand. So it's having your money work for you.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we already, as a community, as a people, are spending the same money all the time.
Right.
So being able to have it funnel to me, but having it come down into 3 different ways outside of me just shopping with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that it's coming back.
Yes.
So that now our money is 3 times its value.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to do with money we're going to spend anyway. And I felt like hair is a need-based business because everybody needs to look presentable. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Regardless if you're at home or not at home.
Right.
And it's like, when I think about that, sometimes I feel like I'm moving too fast because I'm already trying to get my money to go somewhere else before it's done its job of where it's at, if that makes sense. And that plays a big part into the community, because I figure if I can get my brokest friends, and I'm just being transparent, my brokest friends, all y'all got your hair done, all y'all got your kids' hair done, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. All y'all kids got on Nikes, Jordans, all that. I remember, and I'm just a single mom, year after year telling my son, bro, you're not getting them like the sweatsuit. They $55 top and bottom a piece.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
How about that?
But when I was able to buy him one, he was so excited. He felt like he made it. You get what I'm saying? And you're talking to a parent who was able to create that value for a 9-year-old. Whereas though me, I was 18 before I bought my first pair of Uggs. You get what I'm saying? And I remember feeling like I made it. So keeping all of that, and I'm trying to get for my community to see this is money we're going to spend anyway. Regardless if you spend it with me or if you spend it with someone else, this money is being spent. The thing about it is once it's being spent, the business owner then can do whatever they want to do with it. Whereas though me, I want to put it back into us again. So it's like, okay, yeah, you paid me to do your hair, but 25% of it is going to go to your children's education. 10% of it is going to go into feeding people. Another 30% of it is going to go into a freaking savings account for God forbid if something like this happen again. We ain't looking for stimulus checks. We going into our own accounts because we got it. You get what I'm saying? But nobody's looking at ways to remove the money. It's just from my hand to your hand. And that's why I feel like I've had such a love-hate relationship with money, because it's like I bust my ass.
Yeah.
And once I work for the dollar, it's spent somewhere already. So did the dollar ever matter to begin with? And reading and doing my homework, I learned it does matter, and it's how you view it and how you use it.
Absolutely.
In order.
So poverty is a mentality, right? Living paycheck to paycheck is a mentality. And I'm gonna give you an example, right? Think about, we can Google right now and pull up 100 people, 1,000 people that have won the lottery, and within a year, 2 years, 5 years are broke, right?
It wasn't financial literacy.
It wasn't the money. It wasn't that they didn't have a money. They had a poverty. They had an impoverished mentality. And so if I have the mentality of a lifestyle where everything that I earn and I'm spending right to that amount, I could be making $300,000. You know what? I'm gonna start living a lifestyle of $300,000 because it's a mentality. I am going to need to get paid 2 weeks, next week, next paycheck, living off $300,000 with all of my stuff, because paycheck to paycheck is a mentality. So there's this dude that I follow on YouTube. His name is Dan Lok, Danlok. He's an Asian cat, and Dan said one of the things, And Dan said it like this, right? I respect him. He's a straight talker. He was like, one of the things that you poor people do, excuse me, bruh. He was like, one of the things that you poor people do that wealthy people don't. He was like, wealthy people pay themselves. I done heard this. I'm like, I pay myself. I get myself nice things. Huh?
Rich Dad Poor Dad mentioned that, right?
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad did mention that. I haven't gotten through all this stuff, so I don't want to misquote Mr. Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah. Robert, yeah, that guy.
But I do know what Dan Locke said, and so Dan Locke was like, wealthy people pay themselves. Okay, I'm like, I know about that, bruh. Like, I go get myself a couple of donuts when I got a good day. Like, I go get a nice good steak. Like, I know how to take myself to the movies. Like, what are you talking about? I take some and I've reinvested into my own quality and tranquility and peace of mind. And I promise you, this was a YouTube video, Jaquetta, but I swear to you, it sounded like he said this. You stupid dummy. He was like, when you do that stuff, who gets the benefit? You got a big old check, so you go buy yourself a car. You just bought yourself a liability. You just bought yourself debt. You go get your nail done. Who get the benefit? Who get paid? The salon owner. You go do the. He said what you just said. This is what made me think of it. When wealthy people pay themselves, they're creating instruments for their money to pay back into them by itself. Instruments for my money to become what they call an asset. This is very, very, very simple. This is what an asset or a liability is. I'm going to put this plain as day for all of us that's watching this. If something I own or possess puts money into my pocket, it's an asset. If something I own or possess, I have to pay out on it, it's a liability, right? So if I have a Maybach, 200,000 whatever car that I'm paying on, that car is not an asset, it's a liability. Anything that I'm kicking out loot for is bleeding me out is a liability, whether it's a little bit of blood or a lot of bit of blood.
No, right? That's real.
And anything that is paying into me. So, for example, behind you have a salon chair. Is that a salon chair?
Bruh, can I speak?
Go, jump in there. Jump in.
Before you even go, I wanted to touch on this, right? And I have to give it back to HCN and his co-founders because they're genius.
Okay.
And so many people have said to me, go get a salon. You know, I've had maybe anywhere from 3 to 5 different people who say, I can help you get started.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, to me, it doesn't make sense for me to pay rent to live here and then pay rent for a hair salon. I can't see me paying for that twice. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like, double paying.
I'm going to pay BJ&E twice.
Right.
And that's what goes, and I don't mean to be rude in this comment. I don't want to do everybody's hair. Like, that's it. Because one of my good girlfriends who's also a cosmetologist and she works in the salon, she's like, I don't want you to keep bringing people to your house. And I respect her. You know, she's looking out for my safety. But like I had to tell her, everybody doesn't come to my house because we do in and out service.
Nice.
So if I feel like I can't help you, have you home with me, I will come to your home.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm spiritually grounded enough.
There we go.
That whatever environment I'm going to walk into, I'm going to walk out the way I came for, if not better.
Absolutely.
I'm covered.
I like that.
I can't bring all of that into my house, though. So, yes, it is a salon. And it's 2 of them.
Wow.
2 chairs back there.
Wow.
You know, and that was just cutting off expenses. Because
I think that's so smart.
Feeling like, yeah, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to go get a salon suite.
Why would we do that? And so I knew this guy, right? So this guy, he was driving Uber, right? But he also had a full-time job. So his car that he was paying a car note on started making him more money per month than the car note. So now the car is a liability. But he's working all the time and driving all the time. And this guy did something that I thought was absolutely genius, and I'm going to share it here. He decided to let one of his homeboys sign up for a different car driving service, Lyft or somebody. And when he was at work, his homeboy was driving his same car, Lyft, and breaking him off. So now his car is bringing in, it's an asset, it's a tool. So I'm looking at your two chairs back there. I only saw one at first, but I'm thinking about it for the people that so this is, there's another word out there, folks, it's called vetting. And that's basically putting people through the test. Like, do I know you enough? Can I find you? Can I reach you? Do I trust you? Are you me? Are we the same? Are we similar enough so that when I'm taking care of my kid, I'm running here, I'm doing there, I'm going somewhere else to do here, I'm in this chair, who can I have in the other chairs that are breaking me off a bit so that what I already have is developing assets? There's so much about our lifestyles, JQ, for all of us that are already primed to be an asset, to help us generate. You will never, no person will ever get rich exchanging work hours for a paycheck. That's not how wealth is generated. Wealth is generated by three ways: property, real estate; money markets, so that's stocks, foreign exchange, that sort of stuff that your money is moving while you're not touching it; and franchising yourself, making other people's hours and labor go into what you do. So that's why McDonald's is so successful. That's why homeboy getting his car to be driven by Lyft while he drives it for Uber when he's at work. That's why that stuff works. And so just figuring out what in our life. The last thing I'm going to say about this is um, what I learned from Dan Locke on YouTube is not only is poverty a mentality, but wealth is a mentality, right? And so if if I am waiting to have $100,000, six figures, 85,000 a year, whatever it is, to save, to invest, to build an asset, to whatever, I'm not going to do it. If I can't do it with $25,000 a year, $17,000 a year, I'm actually not going to do it because if I have to wait for the gym to reopen after Corona for me to work out, I'm bullshitting. I ain't about that life. For real, the gym gonna open back up, and you know what I'm gonna do? Nothing. You know why? Because my mentality is going to let everything else come in that blocked me from doing it before Corona. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. So working out in my house, do whatever it is, it's those things demonstrate what I'm gonna be more of later on down the road.
I had a question for you, but I had to put it back in my pocket because you answered it for me.
Oh, Lord, well, share it. Share it then.
But the people said, I'll tell them the answer to this question. And I get into this a lot of time when I'm talking to people. They say, you answer your own questions.
Nice.
But I was going to say, when you're doing, because this is what I got it from, you was like, if you can do it without that big number associated, then it'll get done when that big number is associated.
Right.
So for me, I find myself looking down on me because the big number isn't associated with the work that I already do. I have a good friend of mine. Her name is Mel. I don't think she'll mind for me sharing, but she always has to remind me, like, Jaquetta, you're doing what so many women wish they could do. Wow. You are raising your child in a good way. Wow. You have a business of getting paid while you sleep that's growing residually year after year, regardless. 2, you already take your son to school and pick him up. You're at every game. You are already doing so much. And because me, I'm in the grind, I'm in a hustle. Yeah. I feel defeated. I feel beat down. Yeah. So it's like, dang, I wish I could. And it's like, bruh, but you already are. That's dope. So when you're stuck in it, and I guess it comes from me being humble, I frame it as, it's like, I see that I'm doing on a day-to-day what I want to do. Right. You get what I'm saying? Build relationships, make money, inspire people. Right. I'm a homebody. I love cooking, cleaning. I love doing that type of stuff. So since I'm doing all of these things, but I'm still waking up every day hungry. Every day wondering, how can I make this more? How can I make this more? I looked at my bank account the other day, and I was like, oh, that's a cool number, but I wish it had more zeros associated to it. Now that number's hanging up on my wall. Because if I can wake up and look at my bank account and it be like, oh, right, it's cool, but I wish I had a couple more zeros. This is how do I get to a couple more zeros
Absolutely.
now? Because I got this far already.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's what you said in the beginning when you're like, the work in the process, you can't beat the work and you can't beat the process. And I hope this is the actual question because I answered my own question with that last one. You already said it. Poverty is a mindset. If you can do it broke, you can do it rich.
Right.
You told me last week money is a magnifier. It's a magnifier. So I'm already, Jaquetta, right. Once I get the money, it's just going to show like this is what she's been doing all along.
Right.
That hurts me because I feel like it jeopardizes my community building. When we're in an era where people only follow success, I'm on the way up.
Right.
I'm successful with my own right because I know how to live within my means.
Yeah.
I know how to make money. I'm educated about different money streams. So it's like, all right, I'm good, and I told you this again last week. I felt bad for doing good during quarantine. It's like everybody in a frenzy, and it's like, bro, me and my son prayed for homeschooling.
Right.
We prayed to get paid. Give me my supervisor. You heard me say time and time again, I don't think we need to be here all these hours. What can we do? And I get paid for exactly what I did. I'm in that season now.
I love it.
I'm getting paid based off of performance, regardless. The time don't matter.
I love that.
So I would say seeing myself as the world sees me and not seeing myself how I feel, which is in progress.
Nice.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing would be, getting your community to respect you for where you are before the rest of the world does.
So I think you're already starting on it, right? So people like momentum. People like movements. People like the new hotness, right? So
but stay true to who you are because I'm not with all that. I don't feel like I need to go and get hair down my back and get my butt done and get my boobs done for me to do your hair.
I got my butt done. No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. That's for you. I don't want to compromise who I am.
Absolutely. So for
and
the record,
I'm not shading anybody who got plastic surgery. That's not where I'm coming from. What I was coming from was being true to who you are and not conforming to the competition in order to be in the playing field with them. That's what I meant by that.
I agree with that. And just for the record, I ain't got no butt, nothing. But I do want to talk about that right there. So I think you're already doing it. People like momentum, and people like to follow winners, and people like to attach themselves to hype. It is what it is. It's the reason why trends happen. It's the reason why everybody started rocking the big long t-shirts 10, 15 years ago, or people rocked the Odell Beckham hair, cruddy little joint. Like people like, and in the 80s, everybody had a jerry curl. In the 90s, everybody had a high top fade. People do trends and they like what it is. The reason why TikTok is popular. TikTok is popular because everybody get to do what everybody see everybody else doing. I don't know who start these things, right? But so, all right, so you already doing it. However, I'm going to tell you, like my campaign manager told me, and I remember we was running for office in 2010.
Told y'all he was the GOAT. Look at him.
So he was running for office in 2010, right? And I believe, like, there's nothing that I talk about that I don't. My kids, poor people, them poor children, they heard me times 1,000. Everything I'm saying in this, they hear it all day, every day. Like, poor kids, right? But so I live it, I breathe it, I practice it. Well, we was going door to door knocking, and he's my age, right? Friend of mine, good dude, but he has like that campaign manager mindset. Whatever that is, he got it. I ain't built like that, right? We make a good duo, we a good team. Well, we going door to door knocking, and he's getting ticked off at me because in between doors, right? We're not going to every single door. We're going to specific doors on the list because they were called super voters, right? So we know they gonna vote. Up the street, down the street, y'all may not vote unless Obama run in. But Miss Mary and them, they vote every year for the past since the 70s, right? We're gonna go see Miss Mary, right? So we going to these people on these lists, right? We don't know who they voted for, but we know they pulled the ballot. So we walking 3, 4 houses down, 2, 3, 4 houses down, and in between I'm picking up trash. Putting it, finding a trash can. He's getting so ticked off. And I'm like, bruh, my city, my community, my people, my such and such. Come on, man. And he was like, now this is my homeboy. He got real professional with me. He was like, Mr. Burris, if you got a garbage bag and walked up and down this street and cleaned the gutters and the lawn and everything, everybody's steps and porch. And nobody knew that Rodney C. Burris did that. Who's going to be able to vote for you? Crap. You better get on Instagram. You better post your videos. You better tweet. Because if we don't know, we don't know. If we don't know, we don't know. So don't follow the trend. But if I take my light, right, and hide it under a bushel, under a barrel, that's a biblical scripture. If I take what I got and don't let nobody see it, not only are they not going to see it, the light going to go out. The light going to go out. So shine. Like, and be who you are. Don't be a up and coming. When you put your videos, look like who you talking about. Like, be it. The last thing I'm gonna say, because I know I can talk heads off, man. So I respect that. But the last thing I'm gonna say is this, JQ. The position that I held from 2010 to 2014 in Baltimore was a state representative serving on the 43rd Legislative District Central Committee, right? Okay, that sounds real fancy, right? It was one of the most entry-level elected positions in the state of Maryland. It is not a mayor, right? It ain't that. It sounds like that. We had badges. We got sworn in by the governor. My mail said honorable, and we ain't get much.
Yo, go ahead. My mail said honorable.
We ain't get that. We had such limited scope of influence, of power on paper. At the risk of sounding lame or being lame, this is what I literally did. I would wear that badge. Nobody wore that badge. I would wear my badge. I would go to city council meetings. I would go here. I'll be in a community joint, such and such. I moved and I was shaking, and I treated myself as if I was important, if I was somebody. I carried myself. I didn't speak until the end of meetings. So I wasn't in there like, I got something else to say. Y'all beat that around, and then I'm going to look for what's everybody saying that's common, because we can't do it all. But there's something that we're saying that not only is feasible, we can do, but it makes some sense. It's going to help everybody. Let's focus on that. I would do that in my places. It got to the point where I would walk in and people opening the doors. Oh, Mr. Burns. Oh, I always had my kids. So my brand became the guy I was Rodney C. Burns, the dude with the kids, right? And everywhere I went. And I remember, so I was on the radio all the time. I was on 88.9. I was 92Q. I was in the newspapers all over the place. CBS local for Baltimore. I remember one of the dudes who served had the same seat that I had. Somebody reached out to him, and he didn't know how to help him, or I don't know, whatever happened. He connected them to me. So me, her, and him was all together. And he said, yeah, man, I was telling her, she had this idea. I didn't really know what to do, but I was like, you know who you need to talk to? Rodney, because such and such. And in my mind, I'm like, dog, on paper, you got the same amount of power that I got. But he didn't, because power is perceived and influence is, right? And so people thought I was important because I told them I was important. People listen, but I backed it up, right? I brought some sensible stuff to the table. So I say that to say, people gonna follow my Love Braids as a brand on this next stage because you're being it, because you're it, because you are not. It's not like I'm almost there. That's not your mentality. Your mentality is, man, I don't care if you gotta like do hair in some of your nice, I don't know. I was gonna say like your nice little professional ACN clothes, but my point is, the brand is what you say it is, and we respect it and follow it. And you have to put it out there. You have to share it. You keep doing stuff like this. You keep bringing peanut-headed dudes and other folks on your little people like me. Bring us on your joint, because what will happen is the momentum itself. You ever been New York, Baltimore subway on a train? Before the train get there, like it's coming up, you see the lights, but then you feel the wind and the train ain't there yet?
Yeah.
That's the wind. It's coming.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we're in the wind, and I feel like y'all in the wind, and y'all better get in, because the train is moving. And you don't want to be like somebody we all follow. B. Simone said this, and it stuck with me. She said, it's cool that I got all these followers now that I'm on a road to 1 million, that I made 1 million. All of y'all buy me out now. She sold 16,000 books like this.
Wow.
You know, sold out. Pre-order, as a matter of fact. But she was like, I only had a couple hundred in the beginning. I've been B. Simone for years. But years ago, nobody was rocking with me before I moved to Atlanta. Now that I'm popping, now that I'm on Wild 'N Out, now that I got my own lip gloss line, now that I have produced something, now y'all want to buy me out in a few hours. I'm with it. You get what I'm saying? So I guess I just gotta go through I gotta do the work.
Keep posting.
I gotta do the work.
Keep letting us see and get some people, like, you know how powerful of an image it would be for the next times we do this, or you have whoever as your guest and we see people in there making you some money, making themselves some money, but making you some money in your chairs. I don't know who you can bring in that. I don't know who you feel comfortable with, but you got one or two. You got My Love Braids popping as you go. You're embodying as a visual. The audio visual of that would be so powerful for the people that's up and coming, that's trying to even get to where you are. And you'll be making some positive progress in the process, man. And I just got I think you're on your way, JQ. I'm just glad I got to know you early. So when you become popping, you know,